Your subconscious mind makes up the vast majority of your mind's capacity. And many of us don't use this gift that we've been given, this ability to create, and to create just as we were created. We have this ability, and unfortunately, we don't tap into it and maybe even enable it to bring things into fruition that we don't even desire. And the subconscious mind is incredibly powerful. But we're going to talk about the three layers of your consciousness. What this is, what this ability to think and see and feel and take action, what this actually is in three different parts, and how to fully activate these deeper levels within us. And so we can actually shift to a desired version of reality. And by the end of the video, I'm going to give you three actionable steps that you can take today to begin making this shift. So, with that being said, let's get right into the video. Now, your consciousness can be broken down into three parts. There's your conscious mind, which is sort of your monkey mind, the thing that jumps from thought to thought. This makes up about 10% of our mind's capacity. And there's a deeper, you can almost think of it like an iceberg, with the part that's sticking out being your conscious mind, and the deeper levels of you being the subconscious mind. This is what many people refer to as the soul. Very similar, that the subconscious mind is perfect. It doesn't actually need to do anything. It just is, it just exists. But it also registers information that's given to it by the conscious mind. And we do this unknowingly. But the subconscious mind is essentially the womb of your reality. Whatever it's given to, whatever you've been speaking into existence, whatever you've been telling your friends, whatever you've been telling them you don't even like, that gets registered in the subconscious mind, which begins to look for more of those things. This is why when we think negatively about things, when we're having a bad day, and we get in our car and we start driving, that seems to be the days when people cut us off in traffic. So, this is because, literally, your subconscious mind being tied to your central nervous system, being tied to these physical parts of you, is able to actually look for things that align with your consciously desired version of reality. It can be programmed, sort of like scripting. When you're writing a program, I mean, not everybody's a coder, but I went to school for a little bit to learn how to code. It, as a career, wasn't for me, but what I did learn is the way these programs work is very much similar to the human mind. You have a front end, which is the part that everybody interacts with. Most people will come to the front end of Facebook, the front end of Twitter, and that's primarily where they'll spend 99% of their time, or probably 100% of their time. And behind that, behind the scenes, is code, is scripting running, commands running, right in the background. Our minds work the very same way. The subconscious mind registers all this information and then is able to implement things and guide you. And this is sometimes where we get intuitive hits or intuitive guidance. This is where the source of our triggers comes from. This is where thoughts and emotions combine to sometimes create a feeling towards one thing or the other. And the last part of this is the third aspect of your consciousness, your supraconscious mind. This is what's also referred to as the mind of God. Many people talk about the Akashic records. They refer to it in many different ways, but essentially what it is, and institutions like the Institute of Noetic Science, IONS, they've done research into this to try and scientifically prove how this information is actually information that comes from beyond time and space, what you can call even a shared collective consciousness. This is why sometimes when you have an idea and you don't act on that idea, even though it comes to you like a spark of light in the shower or wherever you may be, and you don't act on the idea, but then months later you see somebody has executed on that idea and you say to yourself, yes, I actually thought of that, I should have done something with it. This happens to us all the time, but that's because these things are projected out through the collective consciousness from higher levels of intelligence that we have access to. And this is what makes us very different from artificial intelligence. Now, how can we actually access these deeper parts of ourselves and actually have access to this information? The key here is having something called heart coherence. When your heart is connected to your mind, and there's physical pathways that are responsible for this, we actually have this ability to access information beyond time and space, to be able to reprogram our subconscious minds, to suggest things to our subconscious minds, which will then look for those things for us, like the back end of the program running. But we often block ourselves through what I call false gods. These are things that rule over us, incredibly strong feelings that rule over us and make us make decisions that move us away from this sort of intuitive information. This is, the anger, the fear. Fear rules over many people, and is actually the easiest way to control people is to keep them in fear. You see it on the media. That's all they peddle these days is fear. In recognizing this and realizing that we have this ability to generate a certain type of energy, which then creates a certain frequency, and this frequency is correlated to the version of reality we're able to actually experience, we can understand that wherever our attention is going is wherever this energy is going to go. And if we're giving our attention to things that aren't serving us, and we're giving our energy to things that aren't serving us, we are essentially having or being ruled by these gods of fear, anger, evil, what have you. So, how do we actually begin to have influence over our subconscious mind to be able to essentially command our soul to help us get the things that we truly desire? There are 3 ways. The first thing here is something that everybody's doing, not knowing how big of an impact it actually has from blocking their desires, from blocking this ability that everybody has. And that is speaking things into existence that they don't actually desire. Like a man who is eating apples, screaming and yelling about how he hates apples. Everybody does this, talking about whatever the latest thing is on the news, or how expensive they think everything is because of inflation. Speaking these things into existence or joking about how poor they are is completely detrimental to their psyche, because you see, your subconscious mind does not have a sense of humor. If you're joking and falsely affirming these things to other people just by joking about them, realize that you're still affirming these negative things to be true in your reality. Number 2 is what I was kind of saying about these false gods, these low frequency feelings that tend to rule over us. And the way to combat them, the way to combat jealousy, evil, hatred, anger, fear, the way to combat this is through cultivating a sense of goodwill. And what do I mean by that? I mean realizing that energy is circular, that you can give energy to receive energy. And this can be in the form of doing something small for somebody. This could be literally just an act of goodwill out of faith that people are good people. For example, there was this homeless man, and I was always opposed to giving people change. I would hang on to my change. And there was this guy, he was out in the rain. He looked super upset, to the point where there was shelter to seek, and he didn't see the point in seeking it. He was just being rained on. It was dark, it was kind of cold. And instead of walking by him for the 50th, 100th time that I'd seen someone like this, I decided to stop and actually ask him, what this man wanted. If there's one thing I could do. And he didn't want any money, didn't want any food. He wanted a cigarette. So I said, you know what, I got you. I went in the store, I bought my drinks, I bought what I needed to do, and I got a pack of cigarettes for this man. And I gave him the cigarettes. And in return, I thanked the universe, the divine power, for bringing more abundance into my life. This circular exchange. Because you see, everybody is a reflection of you. And if you can treat people with goodwill, that energy will be circulated back to you. Number 3 is command your subconscious mind to what you want and begin taking aligned action towards it. What I mean by this is your subconscious mind is an observer. It's observing what you're doing, but it can also be commanded by your conscious mind, by your conscious thoughts. Before you go to bed every night, write down one or two things and command your subconscious mind consciously. Maybe you can have an affirmation or feel it deep down within you. This is what you want, and send it out to your subconscious mind. And then go to sleep and forget about it. And the next day, begin taking aligned action on that thing. And you'll see more inspired thoughts, more inspired feelings coming up for you. And do this time and again, night after night. And you'll begin to see a slow shift happening towards the things that you actually desire. You'll begin to see opportunities open up for you that you may have not seen before. So give this a shot. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Until next time, peace.